this is the tutorial for the bag. Now this is one of my absolute favourites in this Fabazine. So it actually goes together quite simply, but there's a couple of decisions you need to make early on. First of all is what you're going to put on the back of it. So are you going to put a batting and have it quite squidgy as a bag, or are you going to use something like an interfacing like that and have it as flat fabric but have it stiffened by the interlining? So once you've made that decision, it then comes down to construction of the bag. So this is the lining piece that I'm going to use, because you can use these either way round if you want, but I've chosen the one with the pink and the black on to be the outer piece. So this is my lining. I'm going to put those face to face, line them up, and then I'm going to sew up this side, and then this other side I'm going to sew up, stop, so I've got a space to turn it out, and then sew up to the top on the other side. With my lining, with my front piece, I'm going to do exactly the same. I'm going to put them face to face. I'm going to sew all the way. But before I do that, I need to add some of the tabs, which are going to form the pieces that hold the handles on. So initially you will get your pieces like this, and they've got little grey lines marked on there for where you want to sew. You want to press top and bottom seam over and then put them face to face and sew down either side. Once you've done that, you'll end up with one a little bit like that, and then those bottom corners, you need to snip those off, because when you turn them right side out, if you haven't snipped those off, they'll be sticking out at the bottom like little tails. So once that's done, you're going to turn that right side out, which will give you that, and then give it another press so it's nice and flat. Once you've got 6 of these, you need to begin to attach these at this point. You don't want to do the whole thing at this point, because if you add the handle at this point, then you will have trouble getting it right side out when you're finished. But you'll notice when I place that handle on there, you've got little lines marking where these need to go. And there's 3 of these for each side, and these are what are going to hold your handles in place. So let me just move this out of the way for a minute, and I'm going to add that one onto there, and I'm just going to sew a little straight line about 1/8 of an inch from the edge of there, a little straight line. I'm not going to attach this back bit yet. That we're going to do once we've constructed it. So I'm going to put those 2 seams in, the front and the lining, and I'm going to attach those edges to those holders for the handles onto the front panel as well, and then I will be right back with you. So those 2 pieces are sewn together. So that's the 2 front pieces with all the tabs on, and the 2 inner pieces with the gap in the side there ready to go. So the next step is to attach these 2 pieces together. So we are going to put this one inside out, and then we're going to turn this one right side out. Now, one thing I didn't mention at the beginning was just make sure when you sew these 2 together, there is a top to each of them, or sew them the same way up essentially, because you've got a pattern that will match side to side as you come round. You can see that makes a complete circle there. So just make sure that you get them both either large ends up, or there's one other end that's got the smaller bits of the circle on. So just make sure you get those the same way up. So next step, now this one's that way out, is to pop it inside this one. And then once they're lined up, just give it a second to do that there. That one inside there. So once you get these lined up, you're going to line up those seams, and then you're going to stitch all the way around that top edge in a great big loop. So I'm just sewing this round now. You'll notice I've actually taken the sleeve arm. Oh, that's filthy. I've taken the sleeve arm off the machine just so I can get it to flow underneath the machine nice and easily, and I've got more or less a straight stitch all the way around. So I will finish this off, and then we'll see how it looks. Take the base piece and mark the quarter points by folding it in half one way and then in half the other way. You're then going to take these base panels and add them to either end of that long tube that you've just created. So I mentioned earlier about folding the base piece before you put it in. I just wanted to show you this before I went ahead and sewed it. So this is the type of thing that you are looking for when you come to put your base piece in. So they're my quarter points, top and bottom and left and right, and I've actually pinned each section so it matches up and it's evenly spread between those points. Because if you just start at one point and work your way around, you'll find you've got a big baggy gap at one end. So pin it all in place, and plenty of pins is the best tip I can give you for this. And take your time when you're sewing it. And also when you are sewing it, make sure you sew it with that flat side up, and you just keep an eye and make sure just that you feel underneath to make sure that's flat as it's passing through the machine, and you'll be absolutely fine. Okay, we're nearly there. The bag's turned right side out, and you can see those oval bases are both in now. And 2 or 3 more steps and then we're all finished. So the first step is just to roll these edges back so you've got a really nice crisp finish, and give everything a press. Once you've done that, a little top stitch around the top of here will then stop those rolling back forward. Once you've done that, and we've also just sealed up that gap in the lining that you have, then it's time to finish off these handles. So if I just pop this flat so you can see, this will go in place underneath all of these 3. So that will give you your positioning, and then you need to either hand or machine stitch those down, and that will hold your handle in place. And then flip it over, do the same on the other side, and that is your bag complete.